Assalamu alaikum everyone, and today we are going to start May-June 2023 paper 1-1. Okay, let's start with the question number 1. In a change of a state at constant temperature and pressure, okay, energy is released as stronger forces of attraction forms between the particles. Yes, it can be possible when, condensing or freezing is occurring, that the energy is released because particles forms bonds. The average distance between the particles changes very little. Okay. So yeah, it can be only possible when a liquid turns to solid. So which change of state is being described? So gas to liquid, no, completely wrong. Liquid to gas, completely wrong. Liquid to solid, yes, it can be an answer. Solid to liquid, again, the force bonds are broken. So C is the correct answer. It's the yearly paper, Hania. We are doing May-June 2023 paper 1-1. Okay, question number 2. X, Y, and Z are elements. X and Y are in the same period of the periodic table. Y and Z are in the same group of the periodic table. What are the possible electronic configurations of X, Y, and Z? See, same period. And so it means they have a same shell and they have a same valence electron, right? So X and Y have a X and Y are in the same period. One minute. X and Y are in the same period, right? So for this, these two are correct, and this can be wrong one. Okay. Okay, they are saying Y and Z are in the 1 minute. My cursor. Just give me a minute. My cursor is not. Okay. So X and Y are in the same period. So see here and here it's correct. And they are saying Y and Z are in the same group. So Y and Z, see it's Y and Z, they have a different number of electrons in the valence shell. So A goes wrong. And for the same reason, D goes wrong. So yes, B is the correct answer. Very good. Now, question number 3. The number of electrons, protons, and neutrons in 4 different particles are shown. Which particles are isotope of the same element? Okay. So 2 and 3 are not going. No, 1 minute. It has a different proton, so it is not going to be the isotope of anyone. And these have a sequence of protons but these two have the same neutrons as well. So these two are going to be the same particle, not the different isotopes, right? So if we see 4 is different from 1 and 2. So 3 is the one which is having a 3 is not considered to be correct. These two are same, which makes A go wrong. So here C is the correct answer. Okay. Now, question number 4. Some statements about bonding in magnesium chloride are listed. Okay. Each magnesium atom donates 2 electrons, each chlorine atom except 1 electron. Okay, this is correct. Chlorine forms an ion with a 2 negative charge, no wrong. Chlorine forms an ion with the -1 charge. Magnesium atom and chlorine atoms share electron, completely wrong. The transfer of electron has been taken place. Magnesium forms an ion with the 2 positive charge, so it's correct as well. So if you see 1 and 4 are correct, and which is in the B. So A, C, and D goes wrong, and B is the correct answer. Okay. Now, question number 5. Ethane, C2H6, and ammonia NH3 are covalent compounds. The dot and cross diagrams of these compounds are shown. Okay. Which statement are correct? A molecule of ethane contains twice as many hydrogen as a molecule of ammonia. Yes, if you see, it seems correct. An unreactive nitrogen atom has a 5 outer shell electron. It's not unreactive because it is reacted with the hydrogen. And right now it has a 8 electrons in its valence shell, not 5. So second statement is wrong. And if second is wrong, which makes A okay, they are talking about an unreacted nitrogen atom. Yeah. Okay, here it has a 8 electron, but when the nitrogen atom is unreacted, it has a 5 electron. So yeah, this statement is also correct. In a molecule of ethane, the bond with carbon atom is formed by the sharing of 2 electrons, one from each carbon atom. Yes, that is also correct. So all the 3 statements are correct. So it means B, C, and D goes wrong, and A is the correct answer. No, second is not wrong. I think they were talking about the nitrogen in the ammonia. That's why I said it's wrong. Okay. Now question number 6. When a strip of copper is placed in aqueous silver nitrate, so for this you have to recall the reactivity series: potassium, sodium, magnesium. Yeah, no, sorry. Calcium, magnesium, aluminium, zinc, iron, lead, hydrogen, copper, silver, mercury, silver, gold, platinum. Okay, so it's a copper and silver nitrate. A displacement reaction takes place. What is the ionic equation for the reaction to take place? Okay, so copper solid when reacts with silver nitrate, it's AgNO aqueous, right? We will copper nitrate has been formed and silver. So if you see, this is the ion, which is the spectator ion. So when I remove this ion, I am left with the copper metal reacting with the silver ion. And to balance the equation, we need to put 2 and 2 over here because silver is +1 and copper is 2 plus. And it's like this CuNO3 twice. Sorry, my bad. So, and Ag, yeah. So that can be your ionic equation. So see, A goes wrong. C goes wrong because C is the complete equation. Here they have mentioned Ag silver, but here Ag is a ion which is an aqueous state. So D goes wrong. So B is the correct answer. Because nitrate is the aqueous in both the sides, and they ask you to make the ionic equation. See over here. No, all of the ions are not spectator, Cheyenne. There are 2 ions which are not spectator because they are precipitated out. and they are forming a solid, okay? Now question number 7. Three compounds are listed. Calcium carbonate, potassium sulfate, zinc nitrate, all are ionic. Which row shows the element present in the greatest percentage by mass in each compound? Okay. So we have to calculate it. Okay. So calcium carbonate has a formula of CaCO3. C calcium is 40, carbon is 12, and oxygen is 16. So its MR is 100, right? And if you see the total mass of oxygen is 48, right? So calcium is 40 and carbon is 12. So in this, oxygen would be the one which is in the greatest percentage because it is 48 grams out of 100 gram. So that makes these two goes wrong because they have said that in calcium carbonate, calcium is in the greatest percentage. So it goes wrong. Now we are left with the C and D. So in potassium sulfate, it's K2SO4. Okay. So sulfur is, if you see, 32. 4 oxygen makes it 64. And 2 potassium. Potassium is 39. So 39 times 39 is going to be 78. So this one is the greatest percentage. So in both, so this is correct. This is correct. Now we have to identify between zinc and oxygen, zinc nitrate. If you look for the formula of zinc nitrate, its nitrate is ZnNO3 twice. So there are 6 oxygen. So can anyone do it 16 times 6? And the mass of Zn is 65. Right? 96. So see, oxygen is in the greatest percentage. So this makes zinc go wrong and oxygen goes correct. So C is the wrong answer and D is the correct one. Is this clear? Now, question number 8. Two aqueous solutions Q and R have the same concentration in mole per dm3. Okay. Solution Q contains 4 gram of sodium hydroxide and 500 centimeter cube. Which solution could be the solution R? Okay. They have a same concentration. So first we have to find its concentration. The sodium hydroxide is 40, right? So the moles of sodium hydroxide is going to be 4 over 40, which is going to be 0.1. So if you have to find the concentration of NaOH, it is 0.1 moles in 500 centimeter cube. So 0.1 divided by 500 divided by 1000 in order to convert it into decimeter cube. So it is going to be, I think, 0.2 mole per dm cube, right? Now you have to find the concentration of all of them, and the one whose concentration is going to be same is the correct answer. Yes, Waleed. They have given you the name, not the formula. So you have to remember the formulas in order to attempt that question. Okay, so here, if you see 0.2 divided by 0.250, can anyone tell me what is the answer over here? 0.2 divided by 0.1, 0.05 divided by 0.250, and 0.1 divided by 1. So here I am going to get 1 mole per dm 0.1 mole per dm³. So it means D is completely wrong. Okay. So can anyone tell me the answers, please? For the first three options, can anyone calculate the values and tell me the concentrations? Please tell me the values. A is 0.8. Okay. So if it's 0.8, so A goes wrong as well. What is B? B, we are getting 2. So B is wrong because here it's 0.2. So it means for C, we are getting 0.2. So C is the correct answer. Is this understandable to all of you? Now, question number 9. Samples of two hydrated compounds are weighed and then dehydrated by heating. Okay. The anhydrous compounds are weighed and the results are shown. Okay. 3.97 gram of iron sulfate dot XH2O gives 2.17 gram of anhydrous iron sulfate. 2.88 gram of calcium sulfate dot YH2O gives 2.27 gram of calcium sulfate. What are the values of X and Y? Okay. So calculate the mass of X, the mass of water. How can you calculate the mass of water by subtracting the two values? So 3.97 minus 2.17. And over here, the mass of water is 2.88 minus 2.27. Can anyone calculate and tell me the answers, please? Yes, can anyone tell me the mass of water? 1.8. Thank you, Amma. Thank you, Hania. Second one. 0.61 or 0.11. 0.61. It's 27, Hania, not 77. 0.61. Okay. Now see, these are the MRs. Okay. So if you see, if I take the ratio of iron sulfate with water, so what is the mass of just iron sulfate without water? It's 2.17. So I got to know that with 2.17 grams of iron sulfate, 1.8 grams of water has been bonded, right? So if the iron sulfate is 152, which is its 1 mole, then how much water must be added? Can anyone calculate the value of X? So X is going to be 152 times 1.8 divided by 2.17. Yes, can anyone tell me the value, please? Okay, you are getting 126.1. I am rounding off. Okay. So this is the mass of water. We know the mass of water, MR of water is 18. So if I divide by 18, I will get the moles. So can anyone tell me the moles? When you divide by 18, we are getting 7. So see, it means this and this is wrong because with FeSO4 that is X. So X can be 7. So either C or D can be correct. Now we have to do the same for calcium sulfate. So see, calcium sulfate with water. So anhydrous calcium sulfate with no water has a mass of 2.27 and it has a 6.1 gram of water in it, right? So the mass of calcium, the MR of calcium sulfate is 136, which is the mass of 1 mole. So with 1 mole of calcium sulfate, how many grams of water has been present? Y. So let's calculate the Y. 136 times 0.61 divided by 2.27. I will get the mass and then I divide that mass with the 18 to get the moles. So can anyone calculate the mass first and tell me the mass, then moles? I hope it's understandable to all of you. So yes, what mass you are getting? 36.54. So I think you are going to get 2 point something, which is going to be 2. So 5 goes wrong, which means that D is correct answer and A, B, and C are wrong. Is this clear? Okay. Now question number 10. What has a mass equal to the mass of 1 mole of water? Okay. What has a mass equal to the mass of 1 mole of water? Okay. So 1 mole of water is 18 grams, right? 24 decimeter cube of water at room temperature and pressure. See, it's white water, so it is going to be wrong because it's 24 decimeter cube. Water means they are talking about water, which is a liquid, not steam. So we know that if there is a gas and its volume is 24 decimeter cube at room temperature and pressure, then it is going to be 1 mole. Then it's going to be considered as, uh, you know, uh, the mass of 1 mole of water. But now we can't say that it is exactly 1 mole because it's water, it's not a gas. Okay. Now, 1 mole of steam at 200 degrees Celsius and 100 Kelvin. Yeah, 1 mole of steam, but see the temperature and pressures are not. Okay. It's a 1 mole of steam. See, so whatever temperature and pressure is, if it's a 1 mole of steam, so they are saying that it's 1 mole H2O, which is in the gaseous state. So obviously it is going to be correct. 1 molecule of water. So 1 molecule of water doesn't have a mass of 18 gram. It is just 18. 2 moles of hydrogen molecule and 1 mole of oxygen. So 2 moles of hydrogen means 2H2O and 1 mole of molecule of water, oxygen means H2O. So it is going to be 32 and 2 times 2, 4. So it is going to be 36 grams. So C and D also goes wrong. So we are left with the B option. So B is the correct. Yes, why MR? Why you are saying D? Because if you see, it's a 4 gram and it's a 32 gram. So it is going to be 36 gram, which is not equals to 18 gram, right? What is the issue in this question? Option C means 1 molecule of water. See, here they are saying 1 mole of water, which means that there must be 6.02 exponent 23 molecules of water, right? Because they are saying 1 mole of steam. So 1 mole of steam means that there must be a 1 mole of H2O in a gaseous state. So if it's a 1 mole of water in the liquid state or 1 mole of water in the gaseous state, is there mass changes or it stays the same? See, now did you understand? Okay, good. Yes, Fatija. If anyone else has any confusion, please ask. Yes, Fatija, did you understand or not? Okay. Now, concentrated aqueous sodium chloride is electrolyzed using an inert electrode. See, it's aqueous. So it means what happens, which row shows what happens in the electrolysis and why it happens. So we know when there are inert electrode and it's aqueous sodium hydroxide, so it means we have a hydrogen ion and a sodium ion. We have a, no, it's a sodium chloride, sorry. And we have a chloride ion and a hydroxide ion, right? So it's a concentrated, so chloride ion forms chlorine because it is in more concentration, and hydrogen ions forms hydrogen because it's lower in the reactivity series, right? So change occurring. Oxygen is discharging at the anode. No. During the electrolysis, the pH of the electrolysis increases. Yes, if you see, because these are left in the electrolyte. So as the hydroxide are left, so it is possible. The electrolysis in aqueous solution involves the reduction of hydrogen ion. Yes, it can be a correct one. So it might be a chance that our B option is correct, but we have to assure that rest of the answers are wrong or okay. So first, always remember, always identify the wrong ones before considering the one correct. Always mark the wrong one, identify the wrong one, confirm them, then go for the correct one. Okay. So solid sodium is produced at cathode, so we know that it's not. So C also goes wrong. The product stays the same if the aqueous sodium chloride is replaced by molten sodium chloride. It's wrong because when there is a molten sodium chloride, now we get the sodium metal at cathode, not a hydrogen gas. But right now we are getting the hydrogen gas. So B is the correct answer. Is this understandable? Okay. Question number 12. Which statement about the energy changes during a chemical reactions are correct? Okay. The activation energy E is the maximum energy the colliding particle must have in order to react. Yes. This is the correct statement. Okay. During an endothermic reaction, thermal energy is taken in from the surrounding, leading to decrease in the temperature of the surrounding. Yes, that also happen. No, 1 minute. The making of a chemical bonds is an exothermic process. Yeah, that is activation energy is the minimum energy which is required, not maximum. That maximum is wrong. So one is not. Yeah, very good. Thank you, Eliza. So it's the minimum energy that is needed for the reaction to, for the reactant particles must have in order to collide. So one goes wrong, and if one goes wrong, C, A, B, and D, or goes wrong, and we left with the C option. So C is the correct one. My screen is stuck. Let me reshare it. Now, question number 13. Two gases, 1 minute. Two gases react inside a sealed vessel. Which change in conditions would increase the rate of reaction? Increasing the pressure inside the vessel? Yes, very good. It would increase the rate of reaction. Increasing the temperature inside the vessel, yes, it can also increases the rate of reaction. Increasing the volume of the vessel, no. Volume of vessel can't help to increase the rate of reaction, because if you increase the volume, the pressure gets lower, and when the pressure gets lower, what will happen? The rate would decrease. So D, B, and A are wrong, and C is the correct answer. Question number 14. Catalyst change the rate of chemical reaction. Which statement correctly describe the effect of adding a catalyst to the reaction? All reactant particles have a more energy and move faster. Is it so? No. Yeah, sorry. Sorry. So B is correct and C goes wrong. So all reactant particles have more energy and move faster. No, it's not correct, because catalyst doesn't help the reactants to increase their energy, but it lowers the activation energy. So if statement 1 is wrong, so which makes A, B goes wrong, right? So we are left with C and D. The activation energy is lowered. Yes. More reactant particles collide with energy. Obviously, if the activation energy is lowered, then now we have a more particles which can collide with the enough energy. Now there are more particles which have energy greater than the new activation energy. So 3 is also correct. So if both are correct, which makes D wrong, and C is the correct answer. Is this clear? Okay, question number 15. The equation for a reaction in a contact process is shown. It's a reversible reaction. The conditions used are 450 degrees Celsius, 2 atmosphere pressure, and a catalyst. What will be the effect when the temperature is reduced to 250 and the catalyst is removed? If the catalyst is removed, the rate of reaction obviously decreases, right? On decreasing the catalyst, on removing the catalyst. So, and C goes wrong. Now we are left with B and D, right? Okay. So at 250 degrees Celsius, we are lowering the temperature. When we lower the temperature, reaction, exothermic reaction would be favored. So the forward reaction is exothermic. So what happens? That the SO3 percentage of SO3 in equilibrium mixture increases, not decreases. So B goes wrong as well. So D is the correct answer. Very good, Ammar. Very good, Khatija. Okay. Now, question number 16. Universal indicator contains several dyes. The reversible reaction of one dye and D in DOH is shown. Okay. A few drops of universal indicator solution are added to 50 centimeter cube of water. Okay. A few drops of dilute hydrochloric acid are added to the solution, which sort of describes what happens when the acid is added. So when we add the acid, what would happen? Hydrogen ions concentration increases, right? So if the hydrogen ions concentration increases, what happens to the pH? pH would lowers. So this and this is wrong, which makes C and D wrong. Right? Now, and what happens to the equilibrium? That equilibrium shifts to the right. And if equilibrium shifts to the right, color of solution shift towards. So when we add this, obviously the forward reaction would occur. So the color Y would be the correct one, not X. So A goes wrong and B is the correct answer. Okay. Now, question number 17. The combustion of methane is a redox reaction. Which statement about this reaction is correct? Only carbon is oxidized. If we see, carbon is over here -4 and over here +4. Oxygen is 0, turns into -2. Hydrogen is +1, hydrogen is +1. Yes, only carbon is 1 minute. Only carbon is reduced, only oxygen is reduced. Only oxygen is oxidized. No, 1 minute. It's -4 to +4. So carbon is not reduced and oxygen is not oxidized because oxygen is changed. See, yeah, it's if you see, it's not a carbon, it's basically a methane, right? And if you see, it's a oxygen only. So if you see in collectively, it's the compound a methane which is being reduced, and in methane the methane is being oxidized, and in methane the carbon is oxidized. So if we say only carbon is oxidized, so it is going to be considered as incorrect. So the correct answer would be D, because it's only oxygen which is actually reduced. Is this clear? I think my screen is stuck. Yeah. Now question number 18. Which method of preparation of magnesium sulfate is an example of a redox reaction? Okay, over here it's 0 and it's +2, so it can be a redox. It's +2 and it's +2, so not redox. It's +2 and it's +2, not redox. It's +2 and it's +2, so it's not redox. So A is the correct answer. because there is an element, magnesium is an element form where its oxidation number is 0, then it turns into a compound where it has some oxidation number. So obviously it's a redox reaction. Okay. Now, question number 19. A sample of a hydrochloric acid and nitric acid are tested using universal indicator paper. The sample of HCl has a pH of 4 and the sample of HNO3 has a pH of 2. Which statement is correct? HCl is a weak acid and nitric acid is a strong acid. Is this? No, it's not, because both are strong acids. It means that it is diluted. It has a lesser concentration and it is relatively concentrated. Has a lower formula mass than HCl. There is nothing to do with the formula mass with the pH. The nitric acid is more concentrated than HCl. Yes, this can be an answer. The HCl has dissociated more than, no, obviously it's not the thing to dissociation. If so, D goes wrong and C is the correct answer. Because if it's dissociated more, then it has a more hydrogen ion and then it would have a more pH. But its pH is lower, which indicates that it is not the one which is dissociated more. So obviously it is the one which has more concentrated, has a more hydrogen ions and has a lower pH. Okay, now question number 20. Which two substances react to form salt and water only? So we know that salt and water is formed by acid and base. Sodium carbonate and dilute sulfuric acid. So carbon dioxide is also formed. So A goes wrong. Okay. Aqueous sodium chloride and silver nitrate. So these two reacts to form two different salts, right? Because they are saying NaCl and silver nitrate, right? So we are going to get silver chloride and sodium nitrate. So see, this is the precipitation reaction. Someone asked me about the precipitation reaction. So if I have to make the ionic equation, so you can figure out this one and this one and this one. These stays aqueous, so they are going to be considered as spectator ion. And we are left with these ones. So Ag positive and Cl negative forms AgCl. So that is the ionic equation for that one. So see, no water has been formed, so B goes wrong. Sodium hydroxide and ethanoic acid. See, a base and acid. So whenever a base and acid reacts, salt and water has been formed. Zinc and dilute hydrochloric acid. In this, salt and hydrogen gas is formed because it's a metal and a reaction of a metal with the acid. So D goes wrong and C is our correct answer. Is this understandable? Yes, very good, Ammar. Now question number 21. The elements are arranged in groups and periods in the periodic table, which row is correct. Okay. The group determined by the number of electrons in the outer shell. Yes, is this correct? The number of shells occupied, no. The number of electrons in the outer shell, yes, this can be a correct. The number, so, okay. Period is determined by the number of occupied shells, yes. So, the number of occupied shells, yeah, period from period we get this. Okay, Amma. Let me check. Elements in the periodic table are arranged by increasing proton number. Yes, not increasing mass number, increasing mass number, increasing proton number. Yeah. So C goes wrong as well. So we are left with only option A, which has all three rows correct. So A is the correct answer. Now, question number 22. Sodium, potassium, and rubidium are in group 1 of the periodic table. Chlorine, bromine, and iodine are in the group 7. Which statement are correct? Bromine displaces chlorine from aqueous solution of sodium chloride. No, completely wrong, because chlorine is bromine, iodine in the periodic table. So chlorine is more reactive. So chlorine can displace bromide, but bromine cannot displace chloride. Iodine is discharged at negative electrode when concentrated aqueous potassium iodide is electrolyte. Yes, that can be correct because it's a concentrated. So iodide oxidizes to form iodine. This is possibly correct. Rubidium has a greater tendency to form a positive ion than potassium. Okay, sorry. See, iodine is formed, but they are saying negative electrode. So at negative electrode, it's the hydrogen gas is formed at negative electrode, not iodine. So B is not correct. This thing is correct, but at negative electrode saying is not correct because it is the iodide ion is a I negative ion, which is be attracted towards the positive plate, not the negative plate. So see, that's why it's wrong. So rubidium is lower in the periodic table. If you see and you know the reactivity of the periodic table, when we move down the group, the reactivity increases. So lithium, sodium, potassium, and then rubidium. So rubidium is more reactive. So yeah, this can be correct. Sodium and potassium both react with water, but reaction is more violent with sodium. No, sodium is above potassium, so sodium is lesser reactive. So D goes wrong as well. So C is the correct answer. Is this understandable to all of you? Yes. Okay. Now question number 23. Which statement about transition elements and their compound is correct? Copper 2 oxide catalyzes the conversion of sulfuric acid to copper 2 sulfate. No, it's not a catalysis. It's just a reaction of a metal oxide with the acid. So I don't think it can be correct. So let me mark it wrong. Iron allows hydrogen and nitrogen to react at a lower temperature. Yes, that can be happen in the Haber process in the formation of ammonia, isn't it? Iron worked as a catalyst over there. So it allow them to react at the lower temperature. So this can be an answer. But let's assure the rest ones are wrong or not. Nickel increases the rate of reaction between hydrogen and saturated hydrocarbons. No, wrong. It's not saturated. It's unsaturated hydrocarbon. When we have a alkene which is unsaturated and we react with the hydrogen, we need a nickel as a catalyst. So C goes wrong. Vanadium oxide speeds up the oxidation of sulfur to sulfur dioxide. No, it's wrong. Vanadium oxide speeds up the reaction of sulfur dioxide turning into sulfur trioxide. So D goes wrong. So we are left with the B option. So B is the correct one. Is this clear? Question number 24. Three statements about the properties of metals are shown. All metals conduct electricity. All metals have two electrons in their innermost shell. Yes, every element has except hydrogen. The innermost shell has two electrons. All metals have a high melting point. No, not correct, because group 1 and group 2 have soft metals, especially group 1, they don't have a high melting point. So statement 3 is wrong. And if you see, statement 3 is present in B, C and D. So these all three goes wrong and we are left with the option A. So option A is the correct one. Is this clear? Now question number 25. Which statement about metals and their uses are correct? Aluminum is used to make overhead electrical cables because it has a low density. Yes, being a low density and lightweighted, it is used as a overhead cables. It's correct. Aluminum is used to make food containers because it is a resistance to corrosion. Yes, this can be a correct. That's why it is used as a, you know, uh, food used in a food container. Copper is used to make electrical wiring because it is ductile. Yes, because it's ductile, it can be transformed into wires very easily. So this can be a correct. So all three statements are correct. So A, B, and C goes and D is the correct answer. Is this understandable to all of you? Okay. Now question number 26. Stainless steel is an alloy. It contains iron and more than one other element. Which element other than iron are commonly used in stainless steel? So the most common one are carbon. And I think carbon and nickel. So it's a memory based question. So you need to remember it, but not copper for sure. And not zinc as well. I think iron and nickel. So C is the correct answer. Sorry, carbon and nickel. So you have to remember such kind of a things. Now question number 27. The equation for some of the reactions of metal Q, R, and T are shown. Okay. Okay. So if you see, Q is displaced by copper. So it means in the reactivity series, Q must be lower than copper, right? R and T when react, so R displaces the T. So it means R must be higher in reactivity series than T. And if you see T displaces the hydrogen, so it means T must be above hydrogen. So it means that their reactivity would be like this. So most reactive one is going to be the R. So D and A goes wrong. Then after R, the next one is T, not Q. So B goes wrong. So we are left with only C. So C is the correct answer. Is this understandable? Yes, is this clear to all of you? Okay. Now 28. Yes, Shayan. See, if you see, Q is displaced by copper because copper has taken its place. So it clearly indicates that copper is more reactive than Q, right? Yes, Shayan, did you understand? Okay. Now, if you see, R is displacing T because R has taken its place. So R is above T and T is lesser reactive than R. Is this understandable, Shayan? Then see, T is displacing hydrogen from sulfuric acid. So it means that T must be above hydrogen. So we got this and we know copper is below hydrogen. So obviously Q is going to be the lesser reactive, R is going to be the most reactive, and T has the reactivity intermediate or a moderately reactive. Is this clear, Shayan? Okay, question number 28. Zinc is used to galvanize iron, which prevents the iron from rusting. Okay. Which statement are correct? The layer of zinc forms a barrier between iron and oxygen and water in the atmosphere. Yes, this can be a correct statement. Zinc will oxidize before the iron does, even if the layer is straight. Yes, because zinc is more reactive than iron. Zinc is above iron, so that is correct as well. When iron rusts, atoms of iron gain electron to form ions. No, it's wrong. Not gain. They lose their electrons. So third is wrong. If third is wrong, then B is wrong, C is wrong, and D is wrong. So we are left with only option A. So option A is correct. Is this clear? Now question number 29. Three statement about the extraction of aluminum are shown. The electrolyte in aluminum oxide dissolves in molten cryolite. Yes. Carbon is used for both cathode and anode. Yes. Carbon dioxide is given off at cathode. No, it's not cathode, it's anode. So third statement is wrong over here as well. So if third is wrong, so it makes B, C, and D goes wrong. And we are left with the A. So A is correct. Question number 30. What is a cause of deoxygenation of water in lake? So it is only due to the soluble fertilizers. Fertilizers can cause deoxygenation, and insoluble nitrates are not there. There is no such nitrates which are insoluble. So D is the correct one. A, B, and C goes wrong. Okay. Now question number 31. Dissolved substances can cause eutrophication and deoxygenation of water. How many of the ions shown causes this effect? So if you recall, only nitrate and phosphates are the ones which cause this eutrophication and deoxygenation. So there are two ions. So A, C, and D goes wrong, and we are left with the option B. So option B is correct. Now question number 32. Which statement about global warming is correct? Methane produced by digestion in animal has no effect on the rate of global warming. Completely wrong, because methane is a global greenhouse gas. No, not sulfates. Only nitrates and phosphates, Ammar. The products of burning fossil fuel has no effect on the rate of global warming. That is also wrong because it produces carbon dioxide, which is also a greenhouse gas and causes the uh, temperature to rise. Okay, Khatija, let me check the product of decomposition of vegetation. That is always a methane. has no effect on global warming. So it is also wrong because methane is a global greenhouse gas. So if all of these three are wrong, so it means D is the correct answer. The product of photosynthesis has no effect of rate of global warming. Yeah, it's correct because it forms oxygen and glucose. Glucose used for a food in a plant, and oxygen is the gas used for the respiration. So these does not affect the rate of global warming. Okay, now I think from here you are getting the organic questions, all of them. The structure of the three compounds W, X, and Y are shown. Which statement about these three compounds are correct? If you see, this is diol because it has a two alcohol. So all is alcohol, diol. It is carboxylic acid, right? And again, it is a diol. W and Y both are alcohols and X is a carboxylic acid. Yes, this is correct. W, X, and Y has the same molecular formula. I don't think so. Uh, no, it's not correct. If you will work on the molecular formula, you will find that for W, it's C2, H8O2. For Y, if you see C2, H8O2. But over here, if you see C2, H6O2. So 2 is correct, wrong. So if 2 is wrong, A goes wrong, C goes wrong, and D goes wrong. So B is the correct answer. Yes, third one is correct because W and Y are the structural isomers of each other. Yes, because both are alcohol, both have a same molecular formula, but different structures, right? Now, question number 34. What is the displayed formula of propyl methanoate? So see propyl. It's acid, so A goes wrong. If you see, there are two carbons, so it's a ethanoate, right? And they are saying methanoate, so C goes wrong. If you see over here, there are three carbons, so it is a propanoate, so B goes wrong. If you see methanoate, one carbon with the C double bond O only, and it's a propyl chain. So D is the correct answer. Now 35. The table shows some of the fractions obtained by the fractional distillation of petroleum. Okay, bitumen making roads, kerosene and paraffin. For chemical feedstock, no. Naphtha is used for chemical feedstock. Naphtha for jet fuels, wrong. So third goes wrong and two goes wrong. If two goes wrong, A is wrong, C is wrong, D is wrong. So we are left with only B. Refinery gases, heating and cooking. Yes, perfect. So B is the correct answer. Okay. Question number 36. Which equation shows the reaction of ethane with chlorine in the presence of sunlight? See, if you see one chlorine displaces and one HCl is formed. So this is wrong. Yeah, this is wrong as well. So A and B and D goes wrong. C is the correct answer. Because one chlorine displaces the hydrogen and the hydrogen releases forms bond with the other chlorine to form HCl. Okay, now 37. Hexanthreol is an alcohol. They have given you the structure. How many molecules of oxygen are needed to complete combustion of one molecule of hexanthreol? So if you see its molecular formula, it is C6H14O. So if I react with the oxygen to form carbon dioxide and water, let's balance the equation. So you got the how many moles of oxygen are needed? 6 carbons, so 6 carbon dioxide, 14 hydrogen, so 7 water, right? So how many oxygens we got over here? 12, and how many over here? 7. So 12 plus 7 is 19. One oxygen is over here, so we are left with 18. 18 means 9, right? So 9 means A has a 9. So B, C, and D goes wrong. So it's A. 9 moles of oxygens are needed to combust one molecule of hexane 3 or 9 molecules of oxygen are needed. Okay. Question number 38. An organic compound P is dissolved in water. The concentration of solution is 0.1 mole per dm cube and the pH is 3. So it means it's a carboxylic acid, right? The solid is added to the solution and effervescence is seen. Okay. Okay. If you see over here, this formula is wrong. So B goes wrong. If you see this formula is wrong because potassium is +1, so C goes wrong. Here, it's not organic, so D goes wrong. So A is the correct answer. Is this clear? Yes. See, in these B and C, they have given you the wrong formulas because the correct formula of with the magnesium is going to be this. And with potassium is going to be this because potassium has a +1 charge and magnesium has a +2 charge. And in D, they didn't show organic acid, but the normal acid. Okay. Question number 39. A paper chromatography experiment is used to find the RF value of Fe3 positive. The chromatogram is shown. To make the spot containing Fe3 positive more visible, the paper is sprayed with the aqueous sodium hydroxide so the precipitates of iron 3 oxide forms. Okay. In the chromatogram, the RF value is given by 1 and the color of precipitate is 2. So the RF value is given by X divided by Y and the color of precipitates are red brown, isn't it? Or red. So X over Y. So here C and D goes wrong and it's iron 3 positive. So B goes wrong, not green, but the red brown. So A is the correct answer. Is this clear? Now question number 40, the last one. A laboratory has a powdered mixture of solid iodine and carbon. Okay, I2 and C. Iodine is very soluble in hexane and slightly soluble in water. Carbon is insoluble in both solvents. One sample of the mixture is shaken with hexane, this is X, and another sample of a mixture is shaken with water, this is Y. Which procedure is used to prepare a pure sample of iodine? Okay. Carbon is in X is distilled and the distillate is evaporate to no, because iodine has a low boiling point. No, we can't distill it because C carbon is insoluble. So distillation is wrong. So A and D goes wrong. We have to filter it. In both the cases, the filtrate is allowed to evaporate to dryness. The residue is carbon, right? So if we allow the residue to evaporate to dryness is going to be wrong. So C goes wrong and we are left with only B. So B is the correct answer. Is this clear to all of you? If any one of you has any confusion, please ask. Yes, again. Okay. See, carbon is insoluble, right? So if carbon is insoluble, so it is always stays as a residue or as a solid, it doesn't dissolve. So distillation doesn't make any sense. That's why I marked A and D wrong. Is this clear? I cannot distill it. Distillation is always done when both the things get dissolved because they are saying carbon is insoluble. So that's why I need to filter out. I don't need to distill it. See, that's why A and D goes wrong. Is this clear to all of you? Yes, Ammar, Khatija, and Shayan. Okay. Now, when I filter it, where would be iodine? Iodine is in the residue or is in the filtrate? Iodine is in the filtrate, and what they are asking, you need to prepare a pure sample of iodine. So I have to, yeah. So why would I allow the residue to dry? if I allow the residue to dryness, so how would I get iodine? So that's why C goes wrong. When I allow the residue to dry, I allow the filtrate to dryness, I am going to get the, iodine. Okay, Shayan? So that's why B is the correct answer. So here we have ended the paper, and now we are going to start the new paper in our tomorrow's class. And okay, so tomorrow's class will be at 7:40. Okay. So see you everyone in the next class. Take care. Goodbye. Allah Hafiz.